I am ready to begin. Here I am, I come to follow you.
Good day, everyone, and welcome to the Dare to Love show. This is part 2 of our May episode where we are celebrating Religious Brothers Day. Now, Religious Brothers Day comes once a year on May 1st in conjunction with the Feast of St. Joseph the Worker. But my co-host and I, we believe that every day is a wonderful day to celebrate religious brothers in our church, and we're going to continue doing that today. In our first episode, we introduced you to Brother David Relstab from the Augustinian Friars, and today we're going to introduce you to 2 special guests, Brother Tom Klein, who serves as the Provincial currently of the Alexian Brothers, and also to Mr. Zachary Dmyterko, who serves as the Vocation Coordinator for the Alexian Brothers. So I would like to acknowledge I'm here in the studio with my co-host, Sister Lovina. Good day to you, Sister Lovina. How you doing?
Hello, everybody. And because this is the first time that we're having Zach over, welcoming back Brother Tom, our friend, should I say old friend? No, I'm kidding, no. We're friends here. And in this situation, actually, I also want to congratulate our newly minted from September 2025. I just found that out. It wasn't Google, it was Bing, actually, Michael, behind the scenes. But Tom is now the new provincial for the U.S. province. How about that? You know, I'm noticing, I don't know about you, Father Adam, but the vocation directors are now getting elected.
They are.
So, you know, but I think it only can help because now we have been trained in the vocation ministry. It's in our blood. And so it's always on site.
Absolutely.
Because vocation ministry, or celebrating the call, keeps us in a way passionate about that ministry. And everything is through that perspective. So I won't expound on that, but I just wanted to, for this second leg of our episode, I'm Sister Lovina Francis Pamet. I'm a Franciscan sister of the Sacred Heart, and I know we're celebrating brothers, but I just needed to give a brief shout out, okay? So on Sunday, during the World Day of Prayer, April 26th, St. Mary Church in Mokina celebrated the Franciscan Sisters of the Sacred Heart at their 11 o'clock Mass, and it was such an honor to be honored because this year, 2026, is our 150th anniversary celebration. So it's our Jubilee, and so it was really nice to be celebrated. They didn't give us, so part 1, Brother David was talking about hot dogs. They did not give us hot dogs, but we did have really nice sandwiches for lunch, so.
Wonderful. And I just came back from celebrating my father's birthday, so he got a shout out in part 1. My dad turned 85 last Saturday, so we had Mongolian beef in the crock pot, and it turned out pretty well. So we like to talk about food on this program. God feeds our souls and our spirits, and we feed our bodies with good food. And to your point, Sister Lovina, about provincials as being vocation directors, what I love is that provincials who have been vocation director bring to the forefront of their consciousness and that of their brothers and confreres the whole conversation and question about vocations, which sometimes is kind of like, where are we going to fit it into the agenda? Where's going to be that moment? Well, with a provincial who's been vocation director, you can build the conversation around that being a key element. So that's really a fantastic thing, I would point out. So congratulations and condolences, as it were, on your election. I know it's not always something we decide on or choose to happen, but the Spirit calls, and
thank you for saying yes.
So thank you for
Brother
saying
Tom.
yes, indeed, for
Thanks.
sure. So, Brother Tom, in your current role as provincial, and once a vocation director, always a vocation director, perhaps you could tell us a little bit more about what kind of is encompassed in your role. I have a feeling you're not just sitting behind a desk all day, but you're probably involved in a number of different things, and we'd love to hear about your ministries.
Yeah, my province is the United States, Philippines, and Hungary, which I have jurisdiction over. And in the States, in particular, we are at a point where we are revitalizing our charism and reigniting our call to serve to the poor, which is really exciting for us. To step back, for years, we've owned institutions, hospitals, senior facilities, and so forth. We've made a conscious effort to really look at what is the most needed. And it's right now it's care for the poor. It's feeding the hungry. It's meeting people where Jesus would meet that person. It's working with immigration. It's visiting people in jail and so forth. And so we're I like to say we're reawakening our faith in action by the ministries that we serve.
Yeah. So I don't even remember what year that I interviewed you, Brother Tom, but at that time you were just starting the ministry with Mission OLA, with the Franciscans of the
Yes,
Eucharist
yeah.
of Chicago. And
Yeah.
I think at that time you were formation director, and so you would
Yes.
bring your postulates. So that, it looks like you've expanded that. So tell us
Yeah.
more about that.
So this is a ministry that I started probably about 7 years ago, and it's a collaboration ministry. I'm a big person in collaboration. I always feel the more people you bring to the table, the more you can get done. So it's been a beautiful relationship between us and the Franciscans of the Eucharist of Chicago, where their ministry is pretty much serving their community. And so what they've started is a and it's grown tremendously, a food pantry on Tuesdays. And so they have anywhere from 600 families that will come during their time period. So what we do, the brothers, we deliver from their ministry on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays to another 300 families within the area. And that includes dropping off food for church at churches or one-on-ones, with families that need food. And what really allows us to, and I always tell the brothers, the food opens the door. It allows us to pray and to be present to those in need. And if you look at our ministries now, we're really focusing on presence ministries, being there with that person is in need. Like Jesus, being there and seeing where the person is at, and addressing that. And if it needs presence, if it needs prayer, because I always look at we've always our charism is the healing presence of Christ. Jesus healed in many ways, not only the miracles that we know of in Scripture, but I'm sure he was a person that put his armor on a person, inspired, told the person that they're loved, cared, hugged, and was present to the people. And so that's where our ministries, and that the ministry with the Franciscans of the Eucharist has blossomed. We are serving so many people in need, and again, it allows, the food is just a door opener. It allows the brothers to walk with that person or walk with that family, and to be there in need. That's just one of the many ministries that we've adopted and are partaking in over the next couple of years, or the last couple of years.
Okay. So before we started taping the show, I mentioned, because we have had Sister Connie Bach with the Four Handmaids of Jesus. Shout out to Connie, also an old friend of ours. And she was very by the way, Connie's also under council now. Did you know that? Yes. Update, folks. Okay, so I'll give her this tape, and she will just laugh her heart out. Yes. Because, as I said, our vocation directors, we have like this group. We're all being called to serve on the council. Anyhow, back to that digression. So Sister Connie loved serving food and delivering food. Also to transitional housing, which is very transitional indeed. And she became part of the community. She was well known. And her community was operating in a way like pretty independently, and she really worked hard to get donations and things like that. And then eventually, I think they may have gotten a grant or some funding through the mayor over at Gary, and then I think some of the parishes around there. So when we were having a conversation, Brother Tom, you mentioned that you also have some programs on transitional living. Is that correct?
Yes. Yes. Again, we are in 3 states. We are in Tennessee, we are in Milwaukee, and we are in Illinois. So our Illinois ministries also, besides food delivery, you will find a brother from time to time at Cook County Jail, either through Colby House, in the intake at Colby House, or doing pastoral work at Cook County, as I did as well. And one of the most exciting ministries that we're working on right now is in the back of the yards. It's we were purchasing a piece of land that has 2 buildings on, and it's right around the San Miguel Church,
Okay.
Catholic Church, and we are building a transitional living program for men. It will house about 12 to 14 men. It's going to be a 18-month to 2-year program, which we've had experience in doing that before. And I like to say it's meeting that man where the arm of Jesus is reaching out to that person and bringing them in. And it's going to be a life-changing opportunity for men. Again, like I said, it's an 18-month program. And the other building is we're looking at a community center for the city, for the people around that area, to offer community outreach, to look at opportunities with younger people, to offer like the STEM program, science, technology, engineering, and math, and other needs of the community. And in Milwaukee, we're dipping our toes into immigration through our partnerships with Catholic Charities, as well as James Ministry. I have brothers working teaching English, tutoring, as well as filling needs. And then in Tennessee, it's a collaboration between the United Way and the Chattanooga Food Bank. And we are, again, delivering to the poorest of the poor in Chattanooga, as well as we're working with the Latino community there as well, through our La Paz network. So the brothers are very active, and as we grow, we will continue to look for new opportunities for ministry, more boots on the ground, more one-on-one, more relational ministries than institutional ministries like we had in the past.
You talk about the charism being the healing presence of Christ, and I was sitting here thinking,
Yes.
what a charism that's needed in our world right now, other than
Yes.
the healing presence of Christ, and yet thinking about how that has been traced throughout time. Could you tell us a little bit about how the congregation first got started, when and where, and who were the movers and shakers in bringing that charism to light?
So we have documentation going back to 1265. We're a German order in Aachen, Germany. And for years, we've been known more hospital healing, the healing presence of Christ, being it, in the 1300s with the Black Plague, bubonic plague, nursing people to health, as well as burying them, giving them a Christian burial, as well as being present in their lives, to bringing brothers over in 1866 to start our first hospital in the Chicago area, to in the mid to late 80s, to working with those who developed AIDS through our AIDS ministries, to our behavioral health ministries in the past. So we've always been the healing presence of Christ in those that we served through the medical area. In 2012, we decided to go on our own and part ways with the hospital system, and we've through Ascension. Since then, we've been developing our outreach ministries more on one-on-one to be the healing presence of Christ to those in need.
To be hands-on, yeah.
Yes, hands-on ministry. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so humbling to hear about a congregation whose roots are traced back all the way to 1265. And,
Yes.
you know, Sister Lavina, your congregation having 150 years, my SVD Divine Word congregation 150 years last year. So I kind of like bow down and think of all those who came before us, the
Yes.
holy women,
Yes.
men, and brothers and sisters, and lay ecclesial ministers who responded so generously to God's call and to the needs of their time and of the day, and how
Yes.
those needs take different shapes and forms over time, and yet that thread of being the healing presence of Christ. So we want to bring into the conversation, as we acknowledge and thank you, Brother Tom, for being so generous and making yourself available with that geography you've got of Hungary, the Philippines, and the U.S. It's amazing you found time to be on Zoom with us today. You might not know what time zone you're in at any given moment, but you see we have on the screen our other guest today. We're so honored to welcome Mr. Zach Dmyterko, and we understand, Zach, that you are now serving the Alexian Brothers as a vocation coordinator, vocation promoter. So we'd love to welcome you into the program. Thank you for joining us. And if you could tell us a little bit about yourself and what your ministry involves, Zach, we'd be happy to hear from you. So welcome.
Absolutely, and it's great to be here. Thank you so much, Father, and thank you, Brother Tom, for inviting me onto this as well. So it's been a wonderful journey so far. I started right at the start of the new year in January as the new vocations coordinator with the Alexian Brothers. And a lot of the job right now is kind of focused on rebuilding the vocations program for the 21st century. So expanding our social media presence, our visibility, but also walking alongside discerners, walking alongside and creating outreach to all sorts of candidates that would be interested in becoming an Alexian brother. And it's been a fantastic journey for me. There's a whole story of how I got involved, and it's really exciting. I didn't know much about the brothers until I met Brother Tom, and he was the first example of a brother. And I was like, I think this is a great spot. I think this is a place where I can really make a difference in the world and do the work of God and help others. Because I had my own vocations journey. I discerned quite a bit. And now I have the joy of being able to help others discern. So it's been a fantastic few months, and we've seen the vocations department grow quite a bit. And there's a couple of us who work together, and that's been a lot of Brother Tom's work on this.
That's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that, Zach, and glad to have you on board, not only for the program today, but for the work and the service you're doing. It must be very interesting as a layman in working for the brothers. I'm sure Brother Tom and others might have tried to plant some seeds, or maybe, kind of encourage you to discern being a brother, and you talked about your own discernment, but I have it in good authority, and maybe you'd like to share with us a little about your personal life, that you are discerning your vocation life indeed as a lay minister in the church, but also as a potential family man, isn't it?
Yes, that is correct. So, my vocation journey, I did originally look into the priesthood, and I was discerning, and at a certain point I realized, well, that's not where God's calling me to. And now, shortly after kind of coming to that realization that wasn't God's plan for me, I met my wonderful fiance. So I'm engaged to be married in September. Oksana, she's wonderful. We're very excited to be, getting ready for the next step in our journey together. And it's very exciting for me also, having journeyed through that discernment process of, what is God really calling me to, that I get to share that with other people as well, that I get to bring that experience in. And I've been doing, I've continued to discern how to best minister to the church. I've taken courses with the Franciscan University in Steubenville, their spiritual direction courses. I'll be wrapping up a certificate in spiritual direction this year, actually. And I really was looking at my work and how I could combine a career in ministry. How can I make it so that my job isn't just about making money? How can I serve our church? How can I serve Christ? And how can I be putting my gifts and talents, speaking of St. Joseph the Worker coming up today when this airs, and putting those gifts and talents to use for others, to serve others. And so, personally, I know that Brother Tom, in one of our first conversations when I was interviewing for this role, he was like, well, are you married? Are you interested in And I was like, oh, brother, a little too late. I've got a wonderful fiance. But I said, I said I would love, God willing, my kids seriously discern the vocation of a brother because I've seen a lot of the beauty in religious life. And we really need more religious. And we need to be open about calling people to these different states of life. Not that one is better than the other, but that there's a beauty in each of them, a sense of sacrifice and a sense of perfection, growing more perfect, growing more holy through your vocation. And that just sets me on fire. I love being able to share that with people. So
We can
That's
see that
wonderful.
energy on the screen.
Congratulations, by the way.
Indeed.
Maybe I should have invited Oksana on this interview so she can make sure that you don't get lured away. No, I'm kidding.
yeah. If you know the story of Saint Alexius, I shared that with her. She's like, please don't do that. So Saint Alexius, if you know, he was said to be married, and he kind of left his bride at the altar. I don't recommend that, and became a hermit. He actually did. He went and became a hermit in Syria. I see Brother Tom's nodding, so I'm making sure I'm getting the story right. But he has a fascinating story because he was like, this is not where God's calling me to. And so he went into the desert, lived as a hermit, became so popular, he essentially left that to go home. Nobody recognized him, so he ended up becoming a servant to his own family and living under their staircase until he died. Kind of like a Harry Potter-esque situation, but he was just serving his family in humility, in poverty, and that was what makes him the patron saint of not only our order, but of pilgrims and beggars. So it's very fitting. I think the Alexian brothers picked a great namesake. So
Amazing.
I'm a sister, and just from that story, I'm like, oh my gosh, I love the Alexian brothers. I want to sign up. But
Indeed.
no, I think that story. Do you have that on comic book? Do you know how like Marvel has like Francis and Dominic and Saint Augustine and all that? Do you have that somewhere?
We have one for the brothers and how they were formed in the Middle Ages. I've got it somewhere back here.
Nice.
But we do have the comic book for the brothers, but not for Saint Alexius. So maybe that's some good material. That could be
See,
a
I'm
project.
giving you ideas. So I should be your first
Content creator.
I would love a copy if
That's
you ever
amazing.
get that published. Yeah, that's
I think
wonderful.
That's a good project.
It's so fascinating to hear a bit of your story, Zach, and I want to add my congratulations as well on your engagement. And indeed, it rings so true to me. I've worked for 15 years, served on my vocation team for the Divine Word community, and I've worked side by side with our lay national coordinator, Mr. Len Uhal. Shout out to Mr. Len, a good friend of ours. He's been doing this ministry for over 20 years, discerned with our congregation, and then discerned the call to marriage. And so when he journeys with young men who are discerning, he's got a lot to share with them of the fruit of his own experience, and not coming from any particular angle, but just kind of really being open to helping people hear where it is that God is leading them. So is this kind of an emerging trend in the church to have more lay women and men serving? We can name any number of congregations which are benefiting from this rich collaboration. Of course, it is a very unique perspective you bring, and so that brings unique joys and challenges that Sister Lynn and I probably wouldn't understand as easily, given that we are religious, promoting vocations to religious life.
Right.
Could you share with us a little bit about what some of those joys and challenges are for you as a layman working as a vocation coordinator?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's something that I'm always thinking about is, being a layperson in this role gives me certain advantages and certain disadvantages. It's pros and cons. And the easiest, you could start with the disadvantages because they're the most obvious, but the advantages are also really phenomenal. As a layperson, of course, I can't tell, it makes it harder to talk to people exactly about what it's like to live day to day as a brother. I can hear from the brothers, I can chat with the brothers, but I can't tell you exactly what it's like to take a vow of poverty and live in a community and be doing ministry every single day. I can observe it from the outside, and I can be a spokesperson with all the information I have. But the beauty in that is there's an opportunity. I get to tag team with a brother when I go out doing vocations work, or when somebody has a question, I get to bring in a brother into the conversation. And through that, it's really kind of allowing me to cover some parts administratively and outreach wise, and then hand it off to a brother. So in working in tandem, it seems really beautiful. On the plus side, the joys are immense. Like I said, it's just wonderful. I'm passionate about vocations. I'm passionate about the fact that God has called everyone to some specific plan in this life, and that I get to be part of that journey. As I mentioned, I'm in the School for Spiritual Direction. So being able to walk alongside people as they're growing in their faith or already on fire. I mean, the best times are when somebody's on fire and they're like, I love Jesus. I love the church. I want to serve and do something. I want to help the poor. And I get to say, well, you're in luck because maybe God's calling you to be a religious brother where you get to live a life fully dedicated to that. And one of the things I also really enjoy an advantage is I think people tend to have a very kind of easy way of chatting with me. I like to point out to people, marriage, although I'm not married yet, I'm engaged, but any relationship, any vocation you go into will have its own challenges, just as will the religious life, just as priesthood. And being kind of on the outside of the order, I get to say, well, yeah, God could be calling you to any three of these vocations. Here's what each one entails, especially with when it comes to marriage. That's the default for a lot of people, but that might not be where God wants you. That might not be where you'll thrive the most in this life. That's not what he's calling you to. And it's beautiful to be able to kind of have those candid conversations without them feeling like, oh, I'm a brother. I'm, just saying that because I'm already in the vocation. I can say, no, religious life is beautiful, even for me as a layperson looking on the outside in. So
Profound.
for me, that's great.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. It resonates so much with my conversations with Len, our SVD National Coordinator, and talks about the fact that when we present ourselves together at a discernment event, how people kind of might gravitate towards him or gravitate towards me depending on the mood or the time of day or what they're looking for. And many times it seems like people are just very free to open a conversation with him, minus the collar and things. Sometimes when they come to me, they think they have to go to confession or something like that, before they can have a conversation. So sometimes it's just that can also be something that leads people in their discernment. So facing these joys and these challenges, which you pointed out to us, Zach, let's assume that there are some young men and women watching and viewing this program today who might be asking the question and feeling the stirring within them. The Holy Spirit's kind of tapping on their shoulder, knocking on the doors of their heart and just saying, there's something more for me in this life. I don't know what that is. As you said, maybe wanting to do something that can bring my gifts in terms of a work, but also a ministry and service to the church. What would be ways that people could perhaps reach out to you? And once they do, what kind of things could they get involved in? What kind of events or activities might they find?
Absolutely. So first off, you can always check us out at alexianbrothers.org. Check out our website, learn a little bit about our ministries, who we are. There's all sorts of information on there. And if you're interested in learning more and discerning with us, in seeing a bit of our community, you can reach out directly to me. And I can give you my phone number. It's 847-264-8703. If you prefer email, you can reach me at vocations@alexianbrothers.org. That's vocations@alexianbrothers.org. And if you do reach out, you can expect a phone call from me one way or the other. And if you don't like phone calls, that's fine. We can email. But whole point of it is to really reach out and see what got you excited in the brothers. What was it that resonated in your heart? And taking those first steps in the discernment journey. What questions do you have? Do you feel that God is calling you to something more? And let's explore that together. My favorite aspect of all of this is I get to journey with people in this life. I'm on a journey. We're all on a journey towards God. And if I get to be a little part of that with somebody, that's beautiful. And hey, it could very well be, especially if you've listened to this and you said, I really want to serve the poor. I really want to be part of this 800-year tradition. Well, maybe you're the next Alexian brother. Maybe you're the ordinary guy who's ready to live an extraordinary life with the brothers. And that's my hope, is that I can bring those people who I know are out there to their vocation. So, or at least be a little part of it. So that's the joy that I have in all of this. And if you're interested, again, you can reach me 847-264-8703.
Now, I understand that there are some common C's if people do want to reach you. And to join the brothers for prayer, you have Holy Hour every week. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct. So if you're interested in a come and see, contact me at those same numbers and email. We'll be happy to talk and discern, when is a good time to come and see what the ministries are, see how the brothers do food deliveries, and whether it's here in Elk Grove, Illinois, or it's in Chattanooga, Tennessee. Check out our ministries, and that's all part of it. Likewise, if you want to just get to know us and pray with us and do a holy hour, every Friday, 4 p.m. at Alexian Brothers Hospital. So that's 800 Bysterfield Road in Elk Grove Village, Illinois. That's 800 Bysterfield, Bysterfield Road, Elk Grove Village. You can come into the chapel. It's open, and the brothers will be doing a holy hour starting at 4 o'clock. That includes Vespers, so evening prayer. Please join us. Stay afterwards. I'd love to chat with you. I'm sure the brothers would love to chat with you. And that's every Friday. That's a holy hour for vocations, holy hour for the brothers. It's beautiful.
Sister Lavina, you're going to love this. I have a shout out for a dearly departed friend of ours, our late friend, Father Mike Scherschel of the Archdiocese of Chicago, a good friend of ours.
Yes.
The last time I was together with Father Mike, God rest his soul, was at the chapel at Alexian Brothers Hospital for the solemn vow profession of Brother Zeke Mapa, or Ezekiel. And so as you were mentioning that, I was saying, yes, that chapel is such a beautiful space. And I knew Sister Living would appreciate hearing the name of Father Mike, a dear friend of ours, but that was the last time I was there. So a personal plug, if you haven't been there, go. It's such a beautiful, sacred space, and you feel the healing presence of Christ that's going on around you in the healing arts in the hospital, but also the healing that's happening in your own life as you bring yourself to the Lord in prayer and ask Him to heal whatever in you needs to be healed and freed so that you can more openly and freely say yes to whatever it is that God may be calling you to do. So that leads me to a question I think Sister Lavina would love to ask any brother. And so maybe you go to Brother Tom for this first, and I'd love to get Zach's take as well. Why brother? I think, Zach, you mentioned kind of the default setting for a lot of men might be, we think of the priesthood, maybe that's what we see or what we know. And we talked earlier about this holy ambiguity before we were taping the program, kind of a unseen but very active presence in the Church of Brothers. But why brother? Why would someone consider being a brother today? Brother Tom.
Well, when I was discerning, I discerned with a couple religious orders that also had priests, and I just felt my calling was to be outside the church, to be with people, have one-on-one relationships, and that's to me what a brother is. Not necessarily being on the pulpit, but to bring Jesus Christ to people on a one-to-one basis, to be out in the trenches, boots on the ground, and being a brother allows me to do that.
That's great. Thank you. Zach, same question. Why brother today?
Yeah, I think it's an excellent question because, as you mentioned, there's a default sometimes. People forget about religious brothers. But the beautiful thing about a religious brother and I think people don't realize about being a priest, and you can talk to this as well, was sometimes priests end up really as administrators and end up being of course, they're involved in serving their parish and administering the sacraments. But at the end of the day, a lot of it is administrative work from what I've seen. And being a brother is just beautiful if you want to fully dedicate your life to a ministry. I mean, when I talk to the brothers here, they're like, I joined this because I didn't want to sit in an office. I wanted to be out serving the poor, living out the gospel message of Jesus Christ. And, when I was hungry, you gave me something to eat. When I was thirsty, you gave me something to drink. And being a brother frees you, I think, in a lot of ways from some of the other tasks that are required. And you really just focus on ministering to the poor, living in community, praying. And it's a beautiful thing. I have a high respect for brothers. I mean, I have a high respect for all religious, but being a brother is an incredible calling. And I think Brother Tom said it best. I mean, it's just a beautiful way to serve.
Praise God. And I want to put a little plug as well, because you've talked about how part of your role is helping reimagine like the social media presence, for instance, for the Alexian Brothers. I stalk your social media, I'll just have you know, as I do many of our guests on our program. It's nothing personal. I do it for all of our guests, but it's just such a richness that's available. I even saw Brother Tom recently talking in this series of videos, I believe, about your charism and just breaking open that conversation about what it means to be the healing presence of Christ in our world. And I was really captivated. I thought, well, I've been in SVD for over 30 years. It's too late to switch, right? But just bringing alive and telling the stories. And so a shout out and kudos for the wonderful job you're doing of putting it out there. So to make sure our viewers and listeners check those sources out, because they're wonderful ways from the comfort of your home with your device in hand to just hear the stories and ponder the questions that God may be inviting you to think about.
And I don't want to forget, last month, we had over Sister Debbie Borneman. Remember her, Brother Tom? Yes. Another friend of ours in our circle. NRVC. Are we members of NRVC? So I'm putting in that plug because it's a very, very valuable resource. Plus, Zach, if hopefully you have plans. We have our U.S. Provincial here. You're going to send Zach over to the November gathering?
Absolutely.
Yes?
Absolutely.
All right. You will meet a whole lot of other lay people. Yes. The first person, I think, or actually two people that I met as lay representatives of their communities were Suzanne Petrowski and also Bart.
Yes.
From the Viatorians. And I really learned a lot from them. First of all, sometimes, when you're working for the community, we call it internal work. Sometimes talk about holy ambiguity. This one is like holy, no boundaries. It's like you eat, drink, everything, pray, sleep, everything. For lay people, we need to be very aware that they have families too. We do not want to break up their families, and so we need to really set the boundary for them, poor guys.
That's true.
Right. So anyway, just I don't want to scare you or anything there, but those are just some of the facts. And in fact, more and more, hopefully, cross fingers, we are allowing that for the sake of our mental health and also for our spirituality growth, that we allow that for our own communities. So I'm putting that in because in this day and age, for us to really be prayerful, holy presence like Jesus, for others, we also need to start with ourselves to minister to ourselves. So, just imparting some wisdom in there. Because you're so new and I can tell you're very gung-ho, but yes, that was one advice that I also got from my wisdom sisters. So.
Absolutely. So viewers and listeners, you want to make sure to go to alexianbrothers.org. You have the number and the email that Zach has provided you with. You want to go there, check it out, consider God is calling you. And Sister Levine, in the meantime, I don't know if you have any particular events you want to make people aware of in your congregation or in your circle, things coming up?
So actually the end of May is going to be very crucial for us. Our Brazilian sisters are coming. Unfortunately, our German sisters will not be able to join us this time, but the end of May is kind of like the culmination of all our celebrations, and then it kind of goes month to month. But May 31st, we are holding this special Mass at our mother house with Bishop Spies, who will be presiding. It would have been the current Archbishop of New York, Archbishop Ron, but that didn't happen. But I guess I'm going to meet Bishop Spies now, so we're preparing for that. So wonderful. I ask for your prayers, and we're celebrating that 150th year and really enjoying it. So,
wonderful.
Yes.
Well, congratulations to you and your congregation. And I'll put in a little plug for the Divine Word Missionaries on May 23rd at St. Joseph the Worker Parish in Northwest Suburban Wheeling, as we celebrate St. Joseph the Worker's Feast Day on May 1st. At the end of the month, on May 23rd, we will celebrate the ordination of 7 Divine Word priests who will serve here in the United States. One is going to Germany, one is going to Australia. We're a worldwide missionary congregation, and our mission will take them far and wide. I happen to be vocation director for 2 of the men, Brian and Ryan. And I have to say it very distinctly because we always get confused and people mishear Brian and Ryan. And what a privilege to have journeyed with them and accompanied them in their initial discernment and now to be confreres with them in the congregation.
And
so
when are you cooking for your community again, Father
very
Adam?
soon.
Very soon,
Maybe some
right?
Mongolian beef I mentioned.
Yeah.
And then followed by on May 27th, on Wednesday, the last Wednesday of the month, we'll have our monthly online discernment group where last month we brought together 9 young men from all around North America, all the time zones represented, Canada, the Caribbean, and talking about living life in community this month. And that's at 8 o'clock Central Time on Wednesday, May 27th. You want to register for that at svdvocations.org, svdvocations.org. So a little bit about what's happening. So many rich opportunities that you can learn and explore God's call beyond the time we have to share with you today on this program. So we hope you'll take full advantage. So Sister Lavina, hasn't this been great?
It's wonderful. Thank you so much for saying yes to being our guest, and hopefully you'll come back. And I hope we didn't scare you, Zach. We're so glad to have you here. Yeah.
Thank
Joy
you
to be
so
here.
much,
Love
Brother
this.
Tom and Zach. Great to have you with us.
And may this be a time of holy, not just ambiguity, but really holy celebration for everybody. And happy Religious Brothers Day.
Happy Brothers Day. God bless. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time on the Dare to Love show.
Thank you, guys.
What tomorrow brings. Give me the grace to love and to